Because this guy's huge. He's 28 years old.
Yeah, he could be on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would beat the giant that they got on it. You know what he would do? He would take that other giant's head and just crush it.
Right.
DTmerch.com is shoehorned into the conversation.
Well, that might as well be free space.
Well, I mean, exactly. Why would y'all put that on there? So yeah, so what I'm doing right now, don't y'all take this when I start talking about the Christmas shirts in the DT merch store, when I start talking about the hoodies. We are updating this store so much, I can't even keep up with the stuff that's coming in there. We got mugs, or as Martin said, we got a stew pot. I'm like, now I'm not even sure what it is. For those who do decide to come back and subscribe, there are many ways you can do so. You can use even your Amazon account, because we have an Amazon Pay button. Put your username and password in there. Press enter. You know what? I ain't never seen what Chris Herman looks like with that toasted goodness all over his body. He's like, I look just like this. What are you? Creed 2. Well, a lot of people are wondering, man. You know that first movie. The first movie was so good because it revitalized the whole Rocky series.
Because at the announcement of a Creed movie, you're like, oh no, this again? Do we really have to do this? And what an amazing movie that was. It just brought a freshness to it.
When you find out what the talent was, which is Michael B. Jordan, then when you realize that this was not just a boxing movie, and we'll talk about this in a little while. It wasn't just a boxing movie, man. It was a very human story.
Yeah.
Got Sylvester Stallone an Oscar nomination, right?
Yeah. And he was robbed of the Oscar. He should have got it.
No, he really was, man. He really was. I think that's why he made the second one,
right? Stallone's revenge.
Get that Oscar. We have Adonis Creed returning, and this time, there's a little grudge he's got to get settled. Boy never saw his daddy because that big ass Russian killed him. And what do you know? That big ass Russian got a son now. Time to get my revenge. Except that it's not him looking for the revenge at all. Creed comes off of like having a successful boxing career. Just finished a match.
Just became the heavyweight champ.
He's at a restaurant, a diner, having a shake, and some pancakes or something. I don't know. And on TV. There go that big Russian. Fuck you. Creed. He's like, man, I can't even rest right now. People like saying, well, look, they saw that movie years ago, Rocky IV,
right.
And people been wanting.
We know you just won it all, but if you don't fight him, you a bitch.
Yeah, man, that's true. Because they like, he is talking some shit. You might die, but you got to do it. That's a big ass. That Russian's bigger than his daddy.
I know.
Hey,
his daddy was a monster.
Yeah. Hey, nice knowing you, man. Tell your daddy I said hi. Let's go ahead and look at this trailer.
You learn more about yourself. And when I stepped in that ring, it wasn't all about me.
When I watched that first Creed movie, I loved it so much because this was it was so grounded. It was more than a boxing film. It was a film about these two guys. You have Adonis Creed and then you have Sylvester Stallone. It's about these two guys who are continuing this story right here. And in a way, this is continuing what made that film so special. He's centered on two characters who gain each other what they don't have already, which is a father and a son.
Yeah.
These are two broken people, and that's what made that story. So I think that's what I said, that it's more than a boxing film. It's a human film.
We see Adonis Creed where he starts out, really with less than nothing, and grows up an angry young man, and then becomes a boxer and becomes a real man by the end of it, like a fully fledged human being who has a father figure and accepted his place in the world, and has a woman who loves him and he loves.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was really the elements that made the first Rocky so good. Mm-hmm. And before I shit went nuts. But
Right. Before Rocky IV, when it became Fast and the Furious 6.
Before Rocky IV would turn into a superhero movie, that movie's gonna bring this film down as a sequel. And then I saw this scene.
My God!
Creed is down. If he dies, he dies.
I'm like, what an asshole. I forgot how much of an asshole this dude was, man.
I'm sure it got lost in translation.
No, hell no.
His English wasn't that good.
And if he dies, he dies. What? I'm sorry, I mean, fuck him. I forgot how much a dick this dude was, man.
He was a tool of the state.
He knocked Apollo out so hard. He had that one last fart he had to get out of his system. Did you see that? Burp. Now I'm dead. You can't have a movie about Little Creed and not have him overlook that shit. Not at all. I was like, especially now in the future, Little Creed ain't even the one starting the trouble. He's the one, Ivan Drago, that's talking the most shit. Flying all the way over all these years. You know what? That's one of the things that I thought was really. That's one of the things I thought that was really funny about the movie with Ivan Drago. There's a lot of things in here that I can criticize Drago for, and I probably will later. But I do like when the way he's portrayed in the movie, just 30 years of nothing but just festering.
Right.
Just mad.
My life went to shit after this. I got to get something back.
When he saw Rocky looked at him as like, you still thinking about this old shit?
Yeah.
He's like, man, you had 30 years to get your life together. You could have gone to college. He's mad because he's been working in a lumberyard all these years.
I know. All because of you.
All because of you, comrade. Rocky's not even mad. He's like, he's confused. Like, what are you doing here, man? Production-wise, this movie still hits pretty hard because, and maybe pun intended right there. I really didn't mean it, but now that I think about it, it's like when I say hit hard, it is the boxing scenes in it that are done so well. They're more brutal than what they were than the original. And there's no way you can really tell. That, like, they don't show any boxing scenes. They didn't give me clips of any. They don't show any in the trailer. No, they want to save that for the movie. But the boxing scenes here are not only more brutal than they were in the first one. I mean, like, you're fighting the son of Ivan Drago, so of course they're going to make this a little more violent. But it's more kinetic, man. The camera work is more lively. It's more quick. Half the time it feels like the cameraman just trying to duck out the way when he's swish panning everywhere, because it's almost like you follow the fist sometimes into a person. They
do at one point have Drago cam where you're right there and the fist are coming at you. Could have been in 3D. You'd walk out with a black eye.
I know. I looked over at mine. His nose all bloody.
Don't put me in here. I ain't agree to fight that motherfucker.
Damn, Mark, what happened to you?
I just saw Creed 2. Call 911.
If I can describe the action in any kind of way, there's a moment, and it's not to the full extent of this, but there's a moment in here where it feels almost like the Kingsman, where the action is moving that fast. That scene in the Kingsman in the church,
right,
where the camera work is that fast. It helps to find a balance between Creed and Rocky IV.
Rocky IV.
Yeah, I think it finds the balance in that, because with this, it keeps the intimate, dramatic moments, the grounded moments of Creed, but the stakes are higher, so it captures the flashiness of Rocky IV. When it has to, only when it has to, which is mainly during the fights. But when they're not fighting, the dramatic moments they feel like those intimate moments from the first film. A lot of shaky cam going on, not shaking, but handheld. There's a lot of moments here where you can tell the money's there, but it's not filmed in a really slick kind of style as far as the camera work goes. You do feel intimate with these characters like you did in the first one. At least I did. I don't know. You can pick it up from here if you like.
Yeah, I mean, there is those shades of that from the first one, and it's got the same characters in it. I would really sum this movie up in the single sentence: nothing in this film is as good as the first Creed movie.
I would say there are some things That is good. But
you gonna educate me?
But
because I honestly, as far as those intimate moments, I was like, man, that first Creed was so fresh and felt lived in, and I was really getting to know these characters, and they felt like real people. And here, the writing is just so corny with everything. It's so sparse, and so they come across as movie characters and not real people like they did before.
Okay.
And almost, except for the Dragos, everybody's motivations are weak.
Okay, you know what? You said to educate you. First of all, let me agree with you. because
I've read some reviews saying like, man, this is a great successor, even better than the first one. I was like, the fuck movie did you see?
I didn't see that movie. Wow, man, you know how we talk about reading minds? When you said that vocally, I said in my mind with you, what the fuck movie did you see? Because I didn't see that movie.
No.
No, we didn't see, you and I didn't see the things that you saw in Wreck-It Ralph, but we see it eye to eye right here.
Okay.
So like, yeah.
Like the biggest thing this movie needed to do was give us a reason for him to want to take this fight. And the only thing they can come up with is him saying like, I got to avenge my pops. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know if you saw your first movie, but you didn't even know your dad.
You didn't even know your dad.
And that movie was all about you overcoming his shadow, which you did in the last movie. So that's not even an issue now.
Yeah.
So you're going to fight this monster, which no boxing coalition would let you fight because y'all are in completely different weight classes.
Yeah. I mean, this dude, you talking about a shadow. This dude's a shadow over him.
Right.
Look at this dude is huge.
Yeah.
This dude,
That's an exhibition match
at best. And that's what his daddy died in.
Yeah.
This is not as deep as Adonis's Creed story before. Because the movie we had before, he was Black Rocky.
Yeah.
You know, it was telling more of a human story, which was mostly his story. And now we have more of a typical Hollywood boxing film.
Yeah.
In this, and the reason why, now here's where I'm gonna come in, where I say this is why I think some things are better, because the reason why it's not so much his story, which were in the first movie, he was pretty much Black Rocky. The reason why things are not as deep now is because White Rocky has come in and stolen half his movie.
Well, see, that's the thing, man. I cannot get this thought out of my head. When this movie was over, while I was watching it, and ever since we saw it, this movie should have been about Victor Drago.
Yes,
he had the real story here.
You know, when you watch this movie and you're watching it under the name Creed 2, you're watching another Rocky movie.
Yeah,
it's
a Rocky sequel.
This is Rocky 12 or whichever one they were.
I mean, they bring in so many elements from Rocky 4, and you're like, don't do that.
Well, they bring in. But the thing is, Rocky came in. He's like, "Hey, look, don't forget who started this shit."
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I might not be able to be boxing no more, but this is still my series.
I'm credited as a screenwriter.
Oh, and yeah, I know, because you wrote half this shit for yourself.
He is not really serving that big of a purpose.
Well, I don't think it would need it to be half the movies. First of all, Sylvester Stallone, I truly believe that he wrote half this movie for himself. He's gonna get that Oscar. he's like, I'm gonna get it right this time. This might as well be Rocky 2.
Right.
You know, the real version.
Right.
Because it's almost like he's trying to get that Oscar because, damn it, he's so good. I mean, he really is so good in the movie. You love that. Now, the reason why I think he's better in this movie is because they really did drive home more the humbleness of this character. They really did drive home more about how I love the contrast of what his legend is and what his real life is.
Sure.
I love that in the first movie, and I love it that they go more in this one because they keep showing you all the people going around the Rocky statue, mimicking Rocky, jumping up and down on the steps. Meanwhile, he's living at home in a one-bedroom apartment, shitty one-bedroom apartment. Light don't even work outside. Wearing that hobo hat right there.
Right.
Living all alone.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad to see almost, but it's kind of great to see it go full circle.
What makes that work is that while you have all these other athletes who are living off their past glories, he doesn't do that. And you go, yeah, well, his life looks sad compared to what it was, but he's okay with it.
It's a great arc for this character here because what you have is a character who had it all at one time.
Yeah.
He had the looks. I like the even that hat age with him.
Never lost that hat.
Never lost that hat. It still got holes in it. Ma's still flying out of it. Him in that hat. That's all he got right now in Creed. But he's a guy that we saw his arc. We saw him start out from nothing. By the middle of his series, he had mansions, beautiful wife,
robots,
man. Everything that he wanted, and now it's come full circle where it's almost like people just threw water on him. He just shriveled up. He looks like right now he looks like a soggy version of himself, of what he used to look like when he was young. And it's something kind of really beautiful about the humbleness of his life. And you said he accepts it. He's content. But he doesn't have anyone. He doesn't have his son, and he loses Creed. That's when he feels like he's lost everything for a guy that had everything. Okay. I think it's a beautiful theme.
Okay.
So I think that's better.
Okay.
The bad thing is that it takes away from the other things that are the main story here, which reduces those other parts of the story to, again, the cliches of a boxing movie.
Well, yeah. I mean, like that thing with his son, it just felt like they tacked a subplot onto him because they had him around, and if they had done more with it rather than just a mention here and there, it would have felt like, oh, this is an actual organic part of this movie.
But
it's not.
No, it's not. And since Rocky comes in, like I said, it's a beautiful story. But man, let this boy have. It's his name on here. Let him have this. Since Rocky's taking up the whole movie, did you notice how time passed weird?
Yes.
For Creed.
Yes.
It's like there were gaps of things missing, especially with his wife, because his wife gets pregnant. She barely has a bump in the movie, and they're like, "Oh my God, the baby's coming!" I was like,
know.
This much time has passed.
I know.
You just got the girl pregnant.
I know.
Did you notice how it didn't feel like it didn't feel natural how time passed in here?
Everything was like this because he became champion. He went to a diner that night, and he's already being challenged, and people saying like, "You ain't gonna fight him." It's like, I just toweled off. I just changed clothes. I gotta go do that right now. Everything is just this quick. His decision. Yeah, I'm gonna fight him. It's like, you don't want to think about it.
It was weird. It worked out like magic in movies, the way they worked out like magical time, because he's in a diner, and one of the guys at the bar is like, "Yo, Creed, you gonna take this?" And he's like, "Man, I ain't ready to take no rematch with that asshole. Forget no. Look at this shit." And on the TV, they got them Russians. We will destroy him. I was like, man, what the fuck? Were y'all watching? Were y'all timing this just when? And how'd y'all get this far out anyway? Get this publicized.
Exactly.
That Creed himself he's just a bitch.
He's a bitch, and he's full of angst for no explainable reason.
He's a whiny bitch. Now, he's one that can beat my ass, and that makes me a bigger bitch, but it doesn't make him look any better. I mean, the character that we saw before, who, he had his self-doubts, but he wasn't a brat like he was in this movie. And I think the reason...
Well, he was when he first started. That was the point. He started out as a brat and grew to be not a brat. So to see him go back to that, it's like, huh?
I can see him having traits of that same person, but I like Rocky so much in this movie. I just didn't like the way he was talking to Rocky.
Oh,
like I was like, man, why are you talking to this man like this? This man has given up everything to help you out. This man loves you, and you were saying some of the most hurtful things to him.
Oh, you want to talk about smart decisions, Rock? You in this house all alone. Who been taking care of you? Me. I've been here for you.
Like, damn. He's like, it's true, but you got to do that to me.
That was one of those Jerry Springer fights to me.
Really?
Yeah, where people say words, I say something, you say something, and immediately we're yelling at each other and cussing each other out and saying the worst things possible. It's like, that's not organic. People actually talk, they lead up to it. It's like, that flipped on a dime.
This like I don't know how believable it is on Creed's part, but on Sylvester Stallone's part, Rocky's part, I can see the pain of him saying, man, how can I come out and say it? He can't say it.
Yeah.
But he wants to say, this guy's going to kill you, and I don't want to lose you. And Rocky, our Sylvester Stallone, is the one that makes that scene. The Dragos in this movie are shallow as hell, man. And you're right. It should have been Victor Drago's movie.
Yeah.
How would you, let me ask you, how would you do it? Would you make a whole different movie and call it Drago, and then have it lead up to like a Marvel Universe type thing these two?
I know you can't do that, but I would have given them much more screen time, maybe even 60-40. I mean, if it had to fool the audience, whatever. but seeing Victor Drago come up and how him and Ivan are living. Maybe Ivan's an alcoholic, or he's just so obsessed with what he had and what he lost.
No, you're right, because that whole thing we're talking about with Drago festering for 30 years, I actually, as crazy as that seems, I thought that could have been a powerful thing.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been a powerful thing. There's a scene where Drago comes in, and he's just the same villain he was a long time ago. I thought it would have been cool to come in and him saying, I know time has passed, but I've never been able to live this down. I don't know why. And maybe Rocky even trying to tell him, man, you got to get past this. And him wanting to be friends with Rocky.
Yeah.
And he just can't do it.
Right.
And then we lead up to this, and it would have made him more sympathetic. And then and the thing about, I will tell you this much, while it's a disappointment what they do with these characters, this guy, Florian Montanel, is that how you say his name? Montanel? Besides being just terrifying, because this guy's huge. He's 28 years old.
Yeah, he could be on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would beat the giant that they got on it. You know what he would do? He would take that other giant's head and just crush it.
Right.
First of all, you fear for Creed. He's effective physically.
Oh, yeah.
So they got that down. One thing the Rocky series was able to do, they were able to get you great villains. This carries on to the tradition of the Rocky series by getting you a great villain right here. To the point that you really do think that you're ready to call BS on the movie. You're ready to call bullshit on the movie because Creed fighting him, he should die too. It's like, ain't no way you're going to beat this dude. But, and by the way, I hear that the guy's also a nice guy in real life.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Florian, he's like, and he even made a point. I'm looking at this.
A guy that big, if he wasn't nice, somebody would have shot him.
He can afford to smile all the time.
Yeah, what's he got to worry about?
You're the happiest motherfucker on the planet. Why? Because nobody was going to make you unhappy. They just, they scowl through the whole thing. And
yeah, he's like this, and Ivan is.
Yeah. got the Ukrainian duck mouth. And it's like, man, you didn't try to flesh these characters out at all. You started something with Creed that should have been applied to all these characters. They're not simple villains anymore. We're not dealing with old Rocky territory. No. We're dealing with making these. We're coming in. If I can get really nerdy cinematically with y'all, it is the revisionist version of what we've seen with Rocky. It's sort of how Unforgiven came in and examined the Western genre.
Right.
Creed should have started a revisionist thing of this Rocky series and boxing movies where we're not just a boxing film. We're going in and looking at the types in these boxing films, especially in this series.
Right.
Let's take a cartoon-ass villain and flesh him out to where he's actually a human being. And y'all fucking blew it, man. We have a traditional boxing movie. I think not. I won't even say to a fault, because I do think if you go in and you just want entertainment, I think this movie's gonna give it to you.
Well, there's not a whole lot of boxing in this. There's a long period where I was like, is he still a boxer? I can't remember.
I still think that the moments, Michael B. Thomas. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm all confused. I'm like, I'm looking at you, Martin. Martin Jordan. Michael B. Jordan is good. He's still good. He's still a good actor. The writing for him might not be as strong, but he's still good. I've said Sylvester Stallone is good. So there are things to enjoy here. The other thing is that I do think that the boxing matches, when you get to them, are entertaining. I even think there's scenes like we just saw right there with Felicia Rashad. There are moments where I
think she nails it. She comes in, she nails her part. I thought she was fantastic. I thought the editing was a little choppy because it was like point she said something, it just cut away. I was like, wait, what?
Editing got tired of Hannah. No,
she sounds too much like my mom. I can't listen to this.
Shut up. No, she's good in the scenes that she has. People are good in this movie.
I think the boxing scenes are good, or at least they're entertaining, but they're nothing compared to the scenes in Creed, in the first Creed.
You think so?
Because you remember, because that was one of the big standouts was Ryan Coogler, where he would shoot those matches where the camera it'd be that continuous shot that would go all around and not stop. It was artistry, and these were just like, yeah, they're good.
Stephen J. Cable Jr. is a guy that directed this, and I thought it wasn't better or worse than what they did in Creed. It was different. And he had a different kinetic shooting style for those scenes, and that's why I enjoyed it. I think there's things to enjoy here, but but it's still a boxing movie that does what boxing movies do. I mean, you have a lot of predictable moments, the losses, the montages. You know a montage is coming from 10 scenes away.
Even Rocky had a montage. Yeah. This is one where it's like, what did Rocky IV do? How many montages? All right, we can do that.
Yeah, we got that. Even Martin, he made my ass jump. He knew a montage was coming. He looked at me, montage. I'm like, shit.
I can smell it. I was like, it's coming. Strap in.
Nah, he was right around the corner. And so, point is that you could have still had this basic boxing movie for Creed himself if you had gone in and examined the Dragos more. And Victor Drago, the actor Florian Montanel, he's actually he shows promise as an actor. There was a moment where he got to be, now he was talking in Russian, so I don't know, he might
Right.
he might deliver he might have the worst delivery for lines, but but he was yelling. You know what I mean? He was the only one. He was the only one to show emotion between him and his father at one time, and it really did make sense. And I was like, see, if you expanded on what he was talking about right there,
Yeah.
how they both been abandoned by people that were supposed to care about them, and really his dad is the reason why they're in the condition they are now. If they explored that more, that would have been cool, but they didn't. I do like that. They tried to give other people more time in the movie, even though I don't think it worked all that well. Tessa Thompson, of course, she's the wife now, so she's getting more time. They have a family at this point. I like that they gave her more time, although there was a few times, they had this kind of lousy subplot of her being a singer. Why? Just so she could have some cool scenes of her singing as an intro to his boxing matches.
Dude, it's Rocky IV. Rocky IV, you have James Brown come out and do a music video. This one, you have her come out and do a music video.
Yeah. No, there you go. Exactly. She ain't no James Brown. I was hoping she'd get electrocuted. Like, hey! There you go. Now we really are Rocky IV. Hair comes out like James Brown.
I feels good.
I feel bad. But I'm being a little rough on this because the first one is so good, and they fell into the trappings of what I thought they would for this sequel, and that kind of disappoints me a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie and say that I was not entertained by the film. I think it works as it does work as a Creed sequel, for somewhat being a sequel to Rocky IV, and as I said, kind of balancing it out. They could have done a better job with it, but at least they took something that was just a fantasy and made it feel, even though it's not as fleshed out, it felt grounded in this world. I admire him for that. And as I said, I'm not going to even say the director. The director, I think, did a good job with this. It's just the script is not as strong as the first one. And Rocky, I keep calling it Rocky. Sylvester Stallone wrote half the script. I don't know who wrote the other half, but I would hope that Sylvester Stallone wrote the strongest parts of this, especially for himself.
Yeah.
Because you can tell. I'd be lying if I said it was not a disappointment, but not one that makes me upset at the film, and one that I still feel entertained by. I give it a very low matinee.
Yeah, I mean, on the positive side, hey, it's better than Rocky IV. But yeah, it unfortunately did carry over too many things from it, and it is ultimately, this is the movie that I was afraid the first Creed was going to be, and it suffers from being the predecessor of something that was truly great. We spent so much time with the Creeds, the husband and wife, and just the things they say back and forth to each other is just so basic. And I just kept thinking, like, man, I love them so much in that first movie. They just had so much they had to offer.
It's an origin story.
Yeah, I know. That is the thing. There's a subplot with the baby where I was like, okay, that kind of went nowhere and wasn't even necessary.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't necessary, but I think it would have been a question that would have been asked anyway, and people would want to see. And plus, that's a cute ass baby, man.
No, it's a cute baby. It's just the stuff he was doing. I was just like, yeah, movie wise, I see you doing this. I've been through this. That's not the way you react to that.
Can I tell you why I thought that worked?
Okay.
That there's a condition with this baby in the movie. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I think it really did show that. Okay, look. If you ain't gonna do it for Rocky, if you ain't gonna do it for your wife, do it for this baby, because this baby really needs you now. You know?
Right. So it's like, hey, why are you still fighting? Honestly, my biggest issue with this was that I couldn't get past why he took that fight in the first place. Because I was like,
because pride's a motherfucker.
Yeah, that wasn't doing it. He had 100 reasons not to do it. And when he finally gives a reason why he was doing it, I was like, nah, that doesn't add up.
Okay.
That actually makes this stupid. And I hate to even use that word with this movie. It does have that entertainment value. I don't hate on it. I recognize that it's not good mostly by what it's compared to. Mm-hmm. I will also give it a low matinee.
Until that stinger, though. And then it's a throw. If you watch this on YouTube, it's a throwback to another. Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph. Those stingers wrecked it for Martin. Martin said, "I'm giving this a matinee," and they did these after-credit scenes, and Martin like, "Man, fuck this movie." So I'm glad this movie don't have no stingers in it.
This guy's got no stingers.
So matinee.
Low matinee.
Low matinee. What we rank?